You know, guys, I was going to bring you Kerry Picket from the Washington Times, but then she called me short. She called me short, and then she called me fat.
I didn't call it.
And she said, "I'm pretty sure that your whole audience, nothing but skanks."
No, I didn't say that.
And I was like, "What? I'm not going to talk to you now, lady." Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Guys, good to be with you. Kerry Picket, Washington Times. She's got the White House beat for forever on the congressional beat. I do discuss you from time to time, Kerry, because you are the first person ever to say to me out loud, if you're going to actually cover Congress, you might actually want to know who these people are and say hello to them. And it was really this kind of damning condemnation of the lack of journalism that exists, not even from the narrative level, but from the foot level. You got to go out and you got to know your source.
Yes.
You got to go build those relationships. Now you move from that House Senate side to the White House side with the Times. Is it a transition, rebuilding resources?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd like to sort of give your audience sort of a glimpse of just the difference it is for a reporter to go from Congress to the White House. You see, very often when you cover Congress, you have a massive building that you have reporters who can sort of float around this building. You have hundreds of sources to talk to, not just the lawmakers, but also their staffers. You have lots of freedom. You can get lost in that building, quite literally. And I'm using the word literally correctly there. You don't get bunched up with other reporters. If you feel free in there. Very few spaces where you're told not to go to, okay? However, when you tell your friends or your parents' friends, oh, guess what? I'm a reporter in Washington. Oh, really? What is it? Are you a reporter for the White House? No. Oh,
gosh.
Are you a reporter? Well, what are you for? Oh, Congress. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. However, when you finally get to the White House, you have it's a cramped space. There are very few spaces where you can walk around in. You have to be escorted to a lot of places, or most places, actually. Very few sources. The competition for sources is tremendous. You only come out when you're called out by the White House staff. And when you tell your parents' friends, and when you tell your friends, hey, guess what? I'm a reporter in Washington. Oh, really? Where? The White House. Oh, my God. That's incredible. Aren't you amazing? Because the cachet is nicer. But the surroundings and the physical environment is a little tougher.
It's like me, the radio and the radio shows, dual, and actually 3 of them, and the TV stuff, and the speaking and everything else. And my mother will gladly tell any of her friends who are watching me on TV, his brother's a doctor. So it's exactly the same. Talking to Kerry Picket of the Washington Times, is how dominant is Doge of a story versus what maybe should be the dominant story?
You know what? Here's the thing, Tony, is that Doge, I don't know, I'm not criticizing the question here. I think it's more that Doge is interconnected with everything. So that's why no matter what we're talking about, Doge is going to be somehow like a web that's connected to every single agency all over the federal government. So if we're talking about the military, well, guess what? Doge is going to be connected right to that. If we're talking about the IRS, oh, guess what? It's connected to that as well, because what's kind of fascinating here is that for years you had conservatives who are like, we have got to go through these books. We have got to audit these books of every single agency. And you had these liberals, you had these Democrats who are like, ha, it's too much of a messy Leviathan. You're never going to be able to figure it out. But what they didn't count on, and this is true, by the way, for pro-life, was that technology came along. And you had artificial intelligence, you had algorithms, And they said, oh, haha, we're going to take our little algorithms, we're going to take AI, and we're going to send it through the entire federal budget. We're going to go line by line, and it's only going to take, a fraction of the time of what you ever thought it was going to take. For the pro-lifers, oh, guess what? We have technology that can actually see the little teeny weeny baby that you didn't think was going to happen back in the early 70s. So technology overtook it, and now they can go through every single line-by-line item for every single agency. So it's going to be a story every single day. It's because no matter what agency we're talking about, Doge is going through it.
Talking to Kerry Picket of the Washington Times. Is there anything that you have heard that is off limits, where Trump is telling the Doge team, yeah, we're not going to mess with that right now?
I haven't heard anything as of now. One of the things that lawmakers on the left are trying to nail Elon Musk on, it's like, oh, that was classified. You can't go after that, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, I haven't really heard anything as of now.
The idea, of course, draining the swamp means that a swamp is going to get drained, and the other big story, as we've been discussing, was, well, I still have about a minute left, was Trump referring to Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, as a dictator. Has there been any? I know J.D. Vance today in a speech here at CPAC was kind of doubling down, or at least supportive of Trump's speech. Has anybody tried any level of walkback of that type of phrasing?
There hasn't been necessarily any pushback on Trump. I think what there has been really talk about on this was just more has to do with all the money that's been going down the Ukrainian hole, so to speak, and because it parallels a lot of the money that's been going down other holes, and people want to know, where has this money been going over in Ukraine more than anything else?
Right.
And then it goes back to, wait, hold on a second, this guy hasn't really necessarily been elected.
Stay there, Kerry. We're going to be talking more about this in the weeks ahead, you and I, on this show. Kerry Picket, Washington Times. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today.